We're inside Bramlage Coliseum. He's Matt Hall. I'm Grant Flanders from K-State Online. K-State does lose this first contest, first Big 12 contest of the year, 67-47. Take me through this one, Matt.
You said it. I mean, 67-47, a 20-point loss to a Texas team that I think a lot of us thought and probably still think is a bottom half Big 12 team. We'll talk about what are the things that caused it and the injuries, and there's a lot of reasons and excuses we can talk about, and some of those are legitimate, but the fact of the matter is K-State's 0-1 in Big 12 play, just dropped a 20-point loss to Texas, only scored 47 on their home floor, had a pretty good crowd here in Bramlage. Just not a good showing for the Wildcats in the last way they wanted to start Big 12 playoff this season.
Here's Barry Brown talking about how he thinks that this team is way better than this performance tonight.
I was just frustrated, just knowing we could have did better. Knowing we're a better defensive team than we showed in that second half. Knowing we're a better offensive team than we showed the whole game. So, I mean, just got to get better, watch film, execute, and just learn from this experience. I mean, it's just sad to lose by 20 at home when you have a good crowd out there.
Is he right, Matt? I mean, this is a tough loss for K-State without two of the top players for them, Cam Stokes and Dean Wade. Take me through this.
Let's look at it two ways, right? So on one hand, I know people don't like hearing excuses, particularly for Bruce Weber in this program, and I understand that to an extent. But you can't dismiss it completely, right? Dean Wade, Big 12 preseason player of the year. Cam Stokes has been the best offensive player the last 4 or 5 games. Shaka Smart said it himself today in the postgame. So you can't just say those losses don't matter, because that's being dismissive of two starters being lost tonight. On the flip side, this is not the start of the problems. They weren't playing great with Dean Wade and Cam Stokes both in the lineup either, so it's not fair to say those guys were the difference and they lost them. The fact is they shoot 30% again tonight, 47 points. Can't defend the three-point line very well. Texas was red hot. Okay, they're not they shouldn't make 50% of their three-point baskets whether they're open or not. The fact is they were open on a lot of them. So I think it's always in the middle, right? I think this team is probably better than it looked tonight. They're probably better with their two of the best players on the floor. But either way, you are what your result is. And that was a 20-point loss to a Texas team that's not one of the best teams in the league and on your home floor.
Jace Febris for Texas had 23 points. Talk about how hot he was. I mean, he was huge.
Absolutely. 7 of 9 from 3, and a lot of those late. As K-State was already in trouble, he just kept making shots. A couple really, really good open looks that got him going, a couple that were guarded. He's a good player. They have some nice players. This Texas team has beaten North Carolina. They have beaten Purdue. They're a capable basketball team. But I don't think this was an outcome that suggests really strong things for K-State. But if the question is about, of course, Jace Febris, like it was, he had a fantastic night. It was the biggest difference in this game.
Now K-State turns and looks towards Texas Tech next Saturday. We'll talk a lot about that game going forward. But, early thoughts on that one.
It's going to be really, really difficult. I thought this was – there's no such thing as a must-win, the first Big 12 game of the season. But I thought it was a very crucial game for K-State to win because I think Texas Tech's one of the best teams in the league. They did find a way to win tonight in Morgantown against West Virginia despite early foul trouble. For Jarrett Culver. They got him back, and he played a nice game in the second half for the Red Raiders. It's one of the toughest games in the schedule, so it's going to be really hard for K-State not to go down to Lubbock and get to 0-2 in the league, especially when we don't expect Wade's going to play. And I don't think that Cam Stokes is either from what we heard tonight. I don't get that sense. So I think the Wildcats could be down to the best players again against a much better team on the road.
K-State now sits at 10-3 overall, 0-1 in the Big 12 play. And we'll be in Frisco for the next few days, so check us out on KSO there. For Matt Hall, I'm Grant Flanders. I don't know.
Tell your friends, and maybe they can make jumpers.